everyone, to episode 199 of the Babcast podcast. Or one episode away from episode 200, which is kind of nuts, in my opinion. But yeah, anyway, that's a lot. That's a lot of episodes.
Did I tell you how one time my husband was looking over my shoulder as I was doing the thumbnail, and he was like, "You've done like 170 something of these," and I was like, "No, I have absolutely not."
Not yet.
Yeah, to come see me like 2 years from now.
No, come on. You know that all of us are retiring before then.
It's true.
Caleb's going to have a new cast to host at that point.
Wait, what number did we start at?
Dude, I don't know how my own retirement might be coming too.
Do you guys remember roughly?
150, like around there.
Yeah,
in the 50s.
I thought it was like 160 something.
We're approaching almost a year because I know I brought you all on. I think it was like the episode after NAIC. I think.
Mm-hmm.
So not the NAIC episode, like right after NAIC, but the week after. I think
right.
Because I think, yeah, I believe Anacor was like, hey, I got a dip after NAIC, so maybe we'll wrap it up around then. I was like, so I remember specifically, I think this was when I was at the LA regional. I was like asking Tristan if he had any suggestions on who to bring on
and he was like, me.
No.
No. He just stood there like,
huh? Wait, what did you say, Tristan?
Oh, I was like, because I wasn't good enough at the time. You're looking for other ideas.
Oh, no. Here was his strategy. I think he purposely recommended a bunch of people that are lackluster. I'm like, nah. I was like, I don't know about that person. I don't know about that person. I was like, what are you doing this upcoming year? You free? No. His suggestions were solid too, but there are a couple people I reached out to that weren't interested.
In New Orleans.
Was it New Orleans? I really waited till that late. Maybe that's.
I just looked. Really? We joined 158 episode.
I think it was LA. You asked if I had
posted
ideas.
July 4th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tristan.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think in LA you asked if I had ideas, and then when we were in New Orleans, like at our Airbnb, you were like, "Hey, do you want to join the podcast with me?" So that. And then I think it was like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Got going or something, but
that might have been true. Yeah, because I think I already had Kaz and Steve on the radar, which is why they were both guests. But I don't think we had a chance to have Tristan on as a guest. We just full sended it with that. So anyway, we are approaching episode.
So Caleb,
200.
Have you been there for all 200 or all 199 and counting episodes, or were there any that like Psionic or Speedy or someone did without you?
I've not only like been around since the first episode, I've been on every episode. Like there's been like episodes where like let's say like Speedy might not be able to make it, or Psionic might not be able to make it, maybe even Anacor at times. But I would just host the episode with the guest by myself. So I've been on for every freaking episode. Kind of wild.
Where are you hiding your like Dorian Gray portraits so that you can keep doing this forever?
I don't know. But I mean, the crazy part is there's some people that have listened to every episode or almost every episode, which means that you all have listened to my voice for 200 episodes in some way, shape, or form.
Not me.
Nuts. I mean, yeah, me neither. I probably wouldn't. Well, I don't remember back in the day when it was me and Psionic. If I would listen, I think I'd listen back our episodes then too. Even though Psionic was the one producing it, I'd still listen them back too. So I guess I've listened to my own voice 200 something times as well.
You've listened to your own voice a lot more than that.
Yeah. I'm kind of sick of it, but somehow some other people aren't, and that's fine. Hey, appreciate you all being here. Anyway, let's get into the week's topics because there's a couple events and then there's a lot of championship series stuff as well to cover. We have ourselves a growing up event. Kind of a wild title because I feel like They're trying to say something subtly to me here. But anyway, Friday, May 2nd, 10 a.m. to Wednesday, May 7th, 8 p.m. So, like what, a 5-day event or so?
Yeah.
And you get 2 times XP for evolving Pokemon, 2 times XP, 2 times candy from hatching eggs, increased chance of shining Wimpod, increased chance of shining Magikarp, shiny Swablu,
No,
and shining. Oh, increased to encounter. Sorry.
Increased chance to hatch shiny Wimpod
Yeah.
specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And then the others are all like wild encounters or research encounters.
Yeah. Increased chance of encountering extra small and extra large Pokemon in the wilds, which is what it is. I mean, I do collect them, to be fair. But I won like my second showcase ever in my local area. Crazy. I had a giant. No, I'm telling you. Compare your Pikachus. I guarantee none of you have a Pikachu this big. Maybe not even none of the listeners. I tied with someone with the exact same amount of points, but somehow I took the win over them, and I placed it after them. So that makes even less sense. But
how big? How big?
Right. It's just height, right? Is it what matters?
Yeah.
0.67 meters.
Well, I think it's both.
Oh, is that the tiebreaker? Is the weight? Well, my weight is 10. Well, because it only says XXL
the weight
on the height.
And the height factor.
Oh, you're right.
No, but the weight and the height factor into the size, and then I think like CP.
Mm-hmm.
I think CP also factors in somehow too. Sometimes, maybe for the tiebreaker, for the formula or something.
Oh, possibly. I don't know what their CP was, but we had the same exact points
what was your height?
On the showcase.
Yeah, what?
0.67 meters,
and,
and the weight was 10.38.
Oh, that is a chunky Pikachu.
Right, big.
My biggest one is 0.65 meters, and then 9.34 kilograms, and it's got the K cat.
Yeah. Well, I think they had to have the hat, right? Because like that's the one that Nine was putting in. Did it not?
Yeah.
Because I have
mine had a hat. Mine had a hat. I mean,
yeah, I think it was hat only for this thing. I actually had a shiny one that had weight of 10.22 kilograms, which is close, but then the height was like way lower, 0.48.
See, here's something I don't understand about the height too. This Pikachu I have is 0.67, right? It says like XXL in gold letters, which means it's like your biggest one that you ever see, right? And then I look at another one. This is a different hat one. It's XXL, but it's in blue, but it's the same height, and this one's actually heavier than my other one that's in gold.
Yeah, I have 2 XXL Pikachu. One is like shorter than my biggest one, but weighs more.
Right. But that would make sense because there's like a slight discrepancy, right? Like they'll weigh one over the other, but
yeah.
But mine that's heavier is also like not the golden one.
Do you reckon the decimal points actually go further?
That's what I'm thinking. There might be something to that, right? Because I also caught the bigger, the golden one more recently, so it's not like a time-based
separately. Yeah, it looks at the stats separately though. Like the XXL with the gold is just for the height, and the weight is totally separate.
Yeah. But yeah, so the height's exactly the same, which means that Go ahead, Tristan.
Because like my height is less than yours. It's 0.58 meters, but the weight is a lot more. It's 13.2 kilograms. So I'd be curious, like in the showcase, how our points would stack up. I know there's like a whole formula and stuff, but I don't actually know the values because I haven't looked at it in a long time. But I know both.
Well, next time I see a showcase, you better. Yeah, next time I see a Pikachu showcase, you better hop on a plane. I'll see you get on standby so that
it's the only way we'll ever learn.
Yeah. Unless someone from NAIC wants to.
I mean, you can just look at what the points are when you enter it in.
Wink.
Nah.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Well, you didn't enter yours in a showcase.
I did, but I don't remember what the number was for the number of points.
I stopped doing showcases because I especially where I live, because I never ever win.
No, with that attitude, man.
Nope.
Yeah.
I leave mine strategically in showcases that are like in the middle of nowhere. Like I love leaving mine at rest stops.
Oh
rest stops that have
I remember winning a showcase where I think I was one of 2 people in it, or maybe I was the only one.
Yeah, that's the strategy.
It was like off on like a trail.
I've never even seen a showcase that sparsely for
state park in California where like cell service could be a little sketch too.
Also, you just need to take more road trips. That's the answer. Like, I literally will leave mine at rest stops, like for gyms, for showcases, and get so much stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, I guess I do. Okay, well, let's get to the actual events. We definitely went on a slight tangent here. Eggs will be hatching from 2 kilometers. You got Happini, Riolu, Wimpod. 5 kilometers, Mime Jr. Whoa, Mime Jr. will be available worldwide.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice, I guess. And then Tox will be hatching from 10-kilometer eggs if you're lucky.
They do that every once in a while, I think. Mostly when they have like special events that revolve around.
I think this is the first time we've seen Mime Jr. in global eggs, though, to my knowledge.
No, it's not.
Oh, really?
I have
yeah.
it. So.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you've been to Europe.
Not where I got it, though.
Really?
In New Lambton, New South Wales, Australia.
I know, but if you pick up an egg from there and you hatch it when you come home, then it still counts.
Yeah, no, it was Go Torsino. It was in eggs.
Oh, okay.
By the looks.
Right.
I think there was also like some sort of ultra unlock event after GoFest one time that had them as well.
Oh, really? I might just not hatched a lot then, but I think I hatched all mine were from eggs I just like grabbed when I was in Europe, but. There's a pay ticket which you can just look at, I guess, and that's about it. Oh, there's also regional bonuses for trainers in Japan and Korea. This is actually worth noting. From Sunday, May 4th to Monday, May 5th. So just like the weekend, I guess. Time research awarding XP Stardust, 1 lucky egg and more. Complete field research to earn Wimpod Candy encounter with Tandem Mouse. Evolve Riolu to get Lucario that knows Fast Attack Force Palm. 2 times Stardust for catching Pokemon. 1/2 egg hatches since when eggs are placed in incubators during the event. What's the reason why those are the 2 regions? Anyone know?
No idea.
It's very random. I mean, look, I don't hate it for the Japanese and Korean trainers, but like, why is there a random regional bonus just for these 2 areas? It's just like, I'm trying to look at this event. It's like, it's not like culturally based on anything, right? To my knowledge, like, there's nothing that alludes to it. Why? That's so random.
Because there's no like costume or anything that would allude to anything cultural or whatever.
No, I mean there's fish and birds in other places in the world too, right? Like I don't understand.
Okay, at least for Japan. Oh no, because someone on Reddit, because I was like, oh, maybe someone there knows. Like it says, they said Children's Day, which is the 5th of May, so that checks out for Japan.
Okay.
I wonder if Korea just celebrates it too then.
Could be, yeah.
I don't know.
Why don't they just make that more clear? Or I wonder if they're not allowed to.
It does also say they celebrated in Korea on the 5th of May. So I guess that's it.
Yeah. That would make a lot of sense. It is growing up.
Did we also mention how the wild encounters do include Rookity?
Oh, true.
Rookity back in the wild.
Oh yeah. But that's not
now. Right?
It's already.
Is it already in the wild? Okay.
Yeah, but they said Pokemon will appear more frequently in the wild as Rookity. Yeah. So, but
because I haven't seen any in the wild except for like
yesterday
on my daily incense. So I thought it might be just like a daily incense thing.
Oh no! I caught one yesterday and I got super excited. So I checked, rank 22. I was like, oh, greatly. I was like, oh snap! All right. I praise it. And I'm just, I noticed when I praised it. I thought it was weird when I praised it. I was just like, this is like a 12, 14, 15. Like, how is this a rank 22? I checked. It's a rank 22 Corvisquire. What the heck am I going to do with that thing? It's like 500,000 Stardust. Like
classic.
Full XL candies and regular candies.
Max it out.
Just no. What kind of, the bird expert tried to lead me astray is what I'm hearing. Let me see what this thing even learns. Because I don't even know if it's in PV Poke, like on the rankings. Okay, it is.
I'm sure it is.
All right, Corviknight, 12 on the rankings.
Right.
Corvisquire, 546. It actually has similar movesets, so Sand Attack, Sky Attack, Payback.
But isn't it isn't Corvusquire like a pure flying type? It's not flying steel, is it?
Yeah, that's probably why. It's pure
Yeah,
flying,
it's
and it
one of
doesn't
the-
have. It only has 2
It's
charge
one of the
attacks,
only
so it literally
mono
can't even
flying
learn a third.
types in Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
I think it's
actually
the
unique.
Yeah, I
like
think
that
it's like
Rookidee
Corvusquire and
and
Tornadus
the
are the only mono
Tornadus.
flying I know of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, you know what's also crazy? How useless it is. So I'm gonna probably just trade it because it's not really worth much else. But that is cool though, because this means that during this event, that was a good catch though. That means that Rookidee will be spawning more frequently, I guess, because right now it's pretty a fairly rare spawn, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but hey,
Yeah,
props
it
to
only
them
started
too,
popping
because
up a few days ago, I think. But
right. And I think in a Tinkaton meta, like it's really nice that it's back in wild spawns. So shout out to NAIC for that, and then also for this event because more Rookidee means it's gonna be a good time. And hey, me personally, I didn't spend any money on any lures or incubators during that original Rookidee event, so I guess holding out worked out for the best. But I think it's gonna be super meta relevant in this upcoming few tournaments now that Tinkaton is allowed. Yeah. Okay, so honestly, that's
we also
worthwhile
have some
event to
other
play, in my
fun
opinion.
wild spawns. There's a few other decent wild
in this
spawns.
one,
Whaleman for
it's
Steve. We have a Fungus for the dust. We have Fungus for the
Whaleman
dust.
for
and
one
also
person.
Amogus has been good.
Yeah,
in
one
some
guy's gonna
limited
enjoy
metas
this.
recently.
Yeah.
Dedenne is decent in some limited metas, and then Wimpod is a good one because Galissapod has been pretty solid in Open Great League
that's
recently,
true.
and I know a lot of people have been hoping to find a better one. So those Wimpod spawns are great, especially because Galissapod is a 400 candy evolution as well. So I know some people like I think a Deeb don't have the candies to evolve one yet. So good for people who still need to get one.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's pretty much that event. Honestly, I play a lot just for the rookie spawns because you do need like pretty much full XLs for the Ultra League variant if you have a good IV spread. So, and hey, maybe if you want to make a Corvusquire one day, you'll need XLs for that too. So, but also
that also is
I know
only
Kaz
enjoyable
is
for
gonna
one
make one.
person.
yeah, run it. ABB Rookie D squad.
Yep.
Triple A if you
Could
want to
add
max
steel,
out
maybe.
maybe itself. Okay, we have another event, Crown Clash events. This one's kind of controversial, but it's Saturday, May 10th to Sunday, May 18th. So over 7 days. Kind of nice. Not really sure why it's so long, but
I think there's a reason for it.
well, let's get into it then. Event bonuses: 2 times XP for evolving Pokemon, increased chance of encountering Shiny Nidoqueen wearing a crown, Shiny Nidoking wearing a crown, Shiny Slowpoke, Combee, and Litleo. All those shiny. And then catching Slowpoke may award a King's Rock. These crowned... The Nidoqueen crown looks okay. The Nidoking crown looks kind of goofy. Maybe it's because his horn's sticking through it.
It's sitting like right on his horn, so it looks
Yeah.
kind of like it doesn't really fit.
Yeah.
It looks like it's poorly photoshopped, whereas the Nidoqueen one looks like it's actually fitting more. But I'm not sure what the situation is there. Pokemon debut though, Kingambit, the big Blade Pokemon, will be making its Pokemon Go debut. And then you can evolve B-Sharp into Kingambit after you defeat 15 Dark type or Steel type Pokemon in raid battles with B-Sharp as your buddy. You do not have to defeat these Pokemon with B-Sharp. Some people really don't like this. And I get why, because that's 15 raids you have to do.
And not just 15 raids, but 15 raids of a specific type.
Oh, yeah, of a specific type. Yeah. Which is the first time we've had that, right? There's some stuff that you had to do raids with. Was it Hisuian Quillfish or whatever?
Yeah, Quillfish and something else. Oh, Runerigus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These are super annoying in my opinion because if you get a good one you want to use right away, you can't even use it right away. And sometimes you really just don't have time to do all this stuff. Like, what if steel and dark types aren't in raids? Then what? Like, yeah, if you make one during this event, great.
They better be. They better be during this event.
Anyway, so a lot of people are having issues with that too, which I kind of get. I mean, this is pretty much just our tea topic for the week too. What do you all think about it?
Annoying. Honestly.
Yeah.
Look,
I just don't rate enough. Like,
yeah, I think the truth is, if this Pokemon isn't competitively viable, I don't really care, in the sense that, like, fair enough. If something is an annoying grind, sure, fine, as long as it isn't actually holding people back from using it in a useful, like, it isn't like a competitive advantage to a bunch of raids. If it's just a Pokemon to collect, and Pokemon, and for most Pokemon Go players, and for most people complaining on Twitter and whatnot, like, they aren't intending to use it for anything. And so they're just like, oh, this is like so annoying because I have to do stuff to get this Pokemon. And like, so if it isn't competitively viable, it's like, whatever. You can get it eventually. Like, it'll take a while, but you'll get there one day. Just like, I never bothered to make an Overquill for ages because I was like, well, I don't need it. So like, we're cool. But if it is actually good,
did you eventually make one?
Yeah. Well, I made one for that Pokedex completing video I made.
Oh, okay.
That was the only thing that forced me to do it.
Yeah, so you haven't used it in PvP.
Well, and that's why I think people do get annoyed is not necessarily because like they want it to be viable and it's hard to get or anything. It's just like we're all on some level completionists to a certain degree. And so having extra steps to do that, especially like extra steps that require you to actually think about the raids you're doing instead of just sort of shotgunning a bunch of raids. I can see how that's like a little annoying for people because like they just want to have it complete. Just get it out of the way.
Yeah, and it just seems like limiting it to just dark and steel types is kind of annoying too, because like some of those aren't always in raids, and the ones that are in raid might not be great. Here are the Pokemon that'll be appearing in raids during this event: Sneasel, Clink, Pawniard, 3 stars, Nidoqueen wearing crown, Nidoking wearing crown. That's it. What?
So basically, you're only gonna do 1-star raids.
Well, what's the legendary spawning during this event? I actually don't remember.
I don't think it has been announced yet.
We don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, it is. It's in May.
No.
Yeah, we haven't gotten a May content update yet.
Yeah. Tristan, I think you had something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really strongly dislike this evolution requirement. I think this is like probably the worst evolution requirement we will have in the game, period. Because like with Runerigus and Overquill, like I think Kaz pointed out, first of all, those were only 10 raids to do, as opposed to this is 15. And those were any raids versus this is specific raid boss types, which like, again, like we said, sure, you can probably do it during the event because those will be in raids. But like, if you get one after the event you want to evolve, like there might not be any steel or dark types in raids, period. And like, it's also different from like the Annihilape evolution, because Annihilape you just have to beat specific types, period, and you can do it in raids or PvP, gym battles, rocket battles, whatever. Like, why is this limited to only raids? And my understanding, what I heard is that in the main series you have to KO 3 Bisharp with your own Bisharp to make it a Kingambit. So like, how are we, like, in the main series it's basically 3 Pokemon, so why is this requirement 15? Like, if it was only win 3 dark or steel type raids with it as your buddy, that wouldn't be as bad, but 15 is a lot. And like, the thing too you have to keep in mind
or
is,
even if they
like,
ask
this
you,
thing has at least some amount of, go on guys, if they asked what.
Oh, well, like, if they asked you to raid 3 Bisharp, too, like, even though that's a specific Pokemon, the number is so low, like, that would be way better.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I was gonna say, my other problem with it is, like, it's at least not. I mean, obviously it depends on the moveset, right? But it's potentially usable in all 3 leagues. So if you want one for Great League, Ultra League, and Master League, that's 45 raids with it as your buddy of only these 2 specific types. Like, it's kind of a lot. And then if you ever get a better one that you want to upgrade or you want to make a shiny one, like that's another 15 raids. Like, it just starts adding up real quick. Like, this just seems so excessive. Like,
I'm gonna tell you right
they
now,
either made it more
I'm
like the
only
Annihilate
making my shiny
mechanic,
one.
or they made it only 3 raids. But like the way it is now is ridiculous.
Yeah, this thing is
Is your shiny gonna fit in Great
for
League?
PvP relevant too. I think it's
Who cares?
You might if it becomes real good.
So don't tempt them, okay?
Or
yeah, like a
Tomahawk
rank
UK
1
is
has to be
there.
at least at most like low 15, but I think they had a couple wild spawns, right? With Ponier back in the day during some Go Fest.
Oh
Yeah,
wait,
there
it's
was
really tough to get Great League one. Actually,
Yeah, there was some.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. So there were some wild spawns during GoFest. There's been a few opportunities for like research ones that you can re-roll to fit in Great League, and then Poniard is also one of the like, if you're lucky, wild encounters during the event. So like, even though it'll be rarer, you do have a chance to catch a wild one during the event that could potentially fit in Great League as well.
Yeah, its stat product is kind of similar to Gudra's maybe, but with a little less defense and more HP and a lot more attack. But for Master League, I should say. But it hits 4,086, which is probably where you will see it most. Dark Steel type's an interesting combination. You take on neutral. And then Snarl, Metal Claw, and then X Scissor, Dark Pulse, Iron Head, Focus Blast. But I can see if they increase the coverage, it might be okay too. Snarl's not the best move. Metal Claw got a slight buff, but still pretty bad. I think you run Actually, Metal Claw's not terrible, right, for energy generation? Or am I tripping?
They did buff
I
it.
think it is.
They did buff it.
It's
It's
not great.
slightly better, but I'm not sure I would call it good.
I think when I ran it on Empoleon, I noticed that energy generation was faster than Steel Wing when I ran it in Spring Cub a little bit. So, but anyway, we'll see what moveset it finally gets in the end. I think the interesting point that Tristan brought up is that in the main series game, it was the Kaz that brought it up, I forgot, but
It was Tristan.
oh, okay, yeah, where you have to beat B Sharp and stuff a bunch of times. Why isn't that or something similar what's implemented for Pokemon Go? Because it's like kind of like the Rage Fist or kind of like the Nihilate evolution mechanic. You have to like beat a certain amount of Dark or Psychic types. I think it should be something similar because it's literally mirroring the main series game. I think the thing that annoys me is that in the main series game, it's not some type of rating thing and they added that as the requirements for Kingambit just to force people to raid a bunch of crappy steel and dark type Pokemon in raids. Like, what?
Yeah, like I said, I'd literally be less annoyed if they asked me to do 3 buy sharp raids, like,
or just 3 raids in general, maybe, right? But even then, I do think that like they took a kind of a grimier route by making people do raids rather than actually doing like beat a certain amount of B Sharp or Dark or Steel type Pokemon with it as your buddy, or maybe with the King Gambit even, right? To make it more seem like the main series game. But instead, they chose to go a different route. Yeah, Tristan.
Yeah, I think 2 things on that is like, again, the biggest thing for me is like the number. Like in the main series game, you have to beat 3 apparently. So why is it jumping all the way up to 15? I do generally agree with what Kaz was saying. The only issue with that is like, presumably Bisharp would not be in raids very often after the event is over. So like, how do you evolve it later would be the only problem if you had to beat Bisharp in raids later. And then back on the point of like its viability, like in Great League, I believe it has a little more bulk than Poniard and Bisharp, which do sometimes see play in some limited formats. So it's really just going to depend on like what moveset it gets, because like it has things like Sucker Punch in its move pool that could make it pretty viable. It also can learn things like Rock Tomb, for example. And then things like Foul Play and Night Slash is like bait moves. So it has a lot of potential depending on what the final move set ends up looking like. And even if the release set isn't the most exciting, there's chances that in a future move update it could get a new move that makes it better too. So it definitely is going to depend a lot on the move set, but it has potential for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we shall see how that looks. Do you all have already 100% Pawniard for Kingambit or no?
Mm-mm.
If you think I'm building one for Master League, you are mistaken, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, just building one in general and doing that many raids, I think that's what I'm really mistaken on. But
oh yeah, man. Even if I like go ahead and put the effort in to do my one free raid a day, I'll only be halfway during this event, which is like,
yeah. Oh yeah, there's so many. 15 of that's the specific typing too. Like, who really wants to be raiding these things? Especially like if the raid IVs were decent enough that they're like low level that you can actually evolve King Gambits out of, maybe it's a little bit better. But like these are level 20 too, so you can't even do it for the level the Great League King Gambit. But
I also like how at the bottom of the blog for this event, it specifically mentions the new track Pokemon feature. Like, oh, if you're still missing Pawniard or any other Pokemon, try using the recently released Pokemon Alert feature. Like, hey, we know you're gonna have to do this, dummies.
the traffic part is that I was just like looking for Pawniard. Why don't you just raid them? But then I realized, well, if you don't have one that you want to evolve, then what's the point of raiding them? So you can't even start raiding them until you have a good one first. But
yep.
Yeah. Tristan, were you gonna say something?
So there is one potential, like, if you're not in a rush to get it, you could theoretically wait until GoFest and beat the crowned Zacian in what's it called, Zamazenta, because those are part steel type. So that could be an option if you're not in a rush, as you could wait for that, because presumably a lot of us will be rating those fairly heavily. I mean, I guess the only question is hopefully that'll work. I guess it'll depend how they have it programmed, because like the base forms are not steel type, but like the crown forms are. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. But that is potentially an avenue to evolve some of these. Would be like wait for GoFest potentially. But if you want it sooner, it definitely kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't. I think that's definitely a valid point. If people really want to wait, I don't know if I will or won't, because I think I kind of want to try it in Master League just to see, but I really don't want to keep rating these damn things. So we'll see how it goes. Right. Well, that is for that event.
I don't
let's
know.
take a
I
look
feel like
at
Master
the
League. I
Dynamx.
think Master League might be its worst league, to be honest.
You think so? The CP spread is pretty high, but I mean, maybe not so much the typing. I think it just depends on how the coverage move goes, right? Because if you pretty much have to run Iron Head. I know it's not suggesting on PvP Poke, but you pretty much have to run Iron Head, because you're just too weak to fairies. I think, and there's a decent amount of fairies, and right here is all over the place too. I can see a place for it, but I don't think it'll be like hyper meta by any means.
Yeah, I was just doing some sims with it, with like the moves that it's predicted to potentially have now and some other alternative sets, and looking at the various leagues. And I was seeing, generally speaking, Master League, it was posting the lowest win rates, and it seemed to have better win rates in Great and Ultra. I think I even checked against Master Premier, where it would likely have more play, and I don't think it was necessarily that great there either, but I could be misremembering.
Yeah. Well, either way, I think yeah, it's It's still a little bit annoying, but we'll see. We'll see how people take it as the event starts. I don't think 90's going to back off on this one though. They're not going to change it. So just get your raid passes ready, I guess, if you want to try it. But okay, we have ourselves Dynamx Suicune Max Battles. So that is up and coming. We haven't even had the Entei one yet, right?
That was last
this weekend.
Oh,
this
this
weekend,
coming weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
because this is in May.
Yeah. The events are announced a little bit earlier, but yeah, Saturday May 10th to Sunday May 11th. Dynamx Suicune makes his debut. The standard event bonuses for max particle stuff. I think you all know the drill. And I mean that's pretty much it. It's just more PVE stuff. I'm still waiting for the day where Gigantamax makes it relevant at anywhere else in the game, because you can't really Gigantamax in a raid battle, right? You can't do it in some trainer battles. You can't you're just doing it just for more Dynamax Gigantamax resources. Which, if some people like that grind and like that system, that's fine. But for me, I'm just trying to figure out what the purpose is. Because for regular raids, you get XL canes to max them out for Master League and stuff. I mean, you could get XL canes from these two, I guess, but and the usually their stuff in the raids are pretty relevant. I mean, I guess at this point too, you're just raiding a bunch of legendary Dynamax too. So I guess it's just doing regular raids, but Dynamax form. I don't know.
I once again just find myself kind of frustrated with the limitations on it. The fact that you can't it's not like raids, right? You can't just go and do kind of as many as you want if you want to buy that many raid passes or whatever. Even when they have special events like this, you're limited to how much you can actually participate, even though they do increase those limitations for the given weekend. It just seems kind of silly to me, because that's whenever I find myself participating in Dynamax stuff throughout the week, right now we do have in past events, we do have that special research that gives you bonuses leading up to the event. But I just find myself getting frustrated because even once I start, it's telling me oh, you can't collect any more particles. Now I don't have any particles until I can do stuff tomorrow. So
yeah, I don't know. I still don't love the system, but I know some people, especially my local area, that play it a ton. So it's something for everyone. Well, Tristan, did you have something to say?
Yeah. I want to say devil's advocate to what Kaz was saying. Can't you buy max particles in the shop the same way you can buy raid passes? Obviously you have to pay for it, but isn't in that sense, isn't it?
But can you use those even after you've
do more?
But can you still pay to do more even after you've met the limitations?
I mean, I haven't ever paid for them, so I couldn't say from personal experience, but I believe that yes, the paid particles, I think, are sort of separate. Can you guys hear me, or did I cut
out? I think you could just keep doing a bunch. Yeah, no, you cut off for a bit, but you're good now.
Because I remember
I think it's
because I remember seeing when it first released, people paying for particles and doing I don't know 50 or 100 max battles in the early days. Some of the big content creators grinded a bunch of the Squirtles and Charmanders and whatever early on. They did a ton by just paying for more particles. So again, it's not really my cup of tea. I don't really engage with this feature, but if you really wanted to, I believe you can pay to keep doing more, similar to raids.
Yeah, it's just deceptive because it'll tell you, it'll give you a little message that says when you're trying to spin to get more particles, oh, you've collected too many for today. So it just seems unnatural to me. Why would I think I can just go into the shop and buy them if it's literally told me that I've done too much for today?
I buy particles all the time.
You do not.
Nah. There's no way.
Oh, man. Anyway, so that's pretty much going to wrap it up for our events here. If you love the Dynamax stuff, then go out and do them. If you love raiding dark and steel types that are just Pawnyard, have at it. You know, get yourself a couple Sneasel because you're going to need at least probably 15 if that's what you love. Anyway, let's head down to Kaz's Corner. What you got for us this week? I'm ready to tie up the score.
The most
again.
important part of this is Suicune is a cat, right? So this is the return of Dynacats.
Yes, truly.
Wait, but Suicune's like the one that's not a cat, I feel like. It's Entei and Raikou that are cats. Suicune's like a fox dog-like kind of creature, no?
I mean, it's kind of like an ocelot or a cheetah, right?
Is it like a cheetah? I think the face is what throws me off, you know? The Entei and Raikou faces are like feline-like.
Yeah, the face does look like, a little more dog-like.
Yeah. I think that's, if anything, that's the one that's least cat-like. Tristan, what do you have to say about that?
When I do a quick Google search, it says Suicune is based on a leopard.
So, honestly, when you say that, it makes me even more annoyed when people say legendary dogs. Like, who came up with this? Who was sitting there looking at this thing that looks like a lion, looking at this thing looking like a tiger, and this other amorphous thing that might be a dog, but not very clear, and turns out it's based on a leopard, and sitting there thinking like, oh yeah, those are the legendary dogs. Like, what? I'm not saying it's a dog person, and I'm not a dog person either, but like, that's just like, you're hardcore coping right there if you're thinking those are dogs. Like, that's crazy.
I would be really curious to know
who came up with that slang.
When the first time that was kind of used, because I mean,
it's 100% from a dog person. No way that it's not. Like, how do you make it about dogs when they're clearly not dogs? Like, there's no way.
But like, I mean, when were these games originally released on the Game Boy Color? It's like the 99 or maybe 2000 something. Well, because like the first Pokemon game wasn't released in the US until 1998, even though it came to Japan the year before. So like these, I think, came out a year later, maybe in 99 on the Game Boy Color. So it's like, what was it in the advertising? Like, was it like who saw these like new legendaries once they beat that game and started this trend? I'm just curious. Historians, help me out.
I don't know.
I've done a Google.
Okay.
So from the Pokemon perspective, they are just called beasts. You know, they aren't cats, they aren't dogs, they're the legendary beasts. So like, fair enough. Theory,
they're not the legendary cats. I'm not saying they're the cats, but they're definitely not legendary dogs.
No. But the theory goes that like, well, the beta sprites looked a little bit more dog-like, and so like, you know, I don't know, one of the Pokedex entries says that Entei barks, and so
it actually says Entei barks.
Yeah,
in one of the original Pokedex entries, probably.
How original is it? Is it still like canon, or is it just gone from the records?
Well, they always change the Pokedex a little bit each generation, even for Pokemon that like aren't new. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if you go to like Cerebi site, like you can read all the previous Pokedex entries from every single game, and they're all slightly different.
Okay, so I'm looking at it. It says in the Pokemon Gold Pokedex entry for Entei, volcanoes erupt when it barks. Unable to restrain its extreme power, it races headlong around the land.
See? So if you read the word barks, wouldn't you maybe start to think that could be a dog?
No, I just think that's a cat.
No,
if I'm looking at a lion and it barks at me, I'm not going to be like, maybe that's a dog. Like, that's no way, right? No, I'm still looking at a lion's face. It's just a weird lion that barks. Like, I've seen like cats that kind of bark and dogs that kind of meow, you know, because they're like just raised with other like cats or whatever. But
I also will like side with Steve a little bit, like looking at the original sprites.
Let me look at the original sprites though.
It does have a little bit of a like more of like, what's the like Saint Bernard-ish silhouette.
I mean, yeah, it's always been kind of has a little bit of that body type too, so I can kind of see it. But the original sprites. Is this real? I don't even know. These look weird. They look.
I'm just looking at the ones on Cerebi again. Like,
yeah, that's probably a more reliable search than whatever I'm seeing on Google.
Don't trust Google image search. Yeah, even like arguably the most cat-like one, which is Raikou, like looks a little bit more dog-like in the original sprite. It definitely doesn't look like oh, that's for sure cat.
Yeah.
Which it does now, you know.
I'm just surprised it went on for so long because I still hear people say it. I'm just like, where are you getting this dog from? Look, I have no problems with dogs. I like dogs
Tristan,
all the time too. But
you have opinions.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I just remember when I was a kid, like I didn't have like gold and silver, but my friends did, and they all called them the legendary dogs back then, and it probably just stuck. I was gonna also say a little more Google searching too. I saw something else that said that Suicune took inspiration from jungle cats such as leopards and panthers, and also said that the Johto regional Pokemon were heavily influenced by Chinese guardian lions, apparently. So a lot of cat bases for sure. So yeah, I don't. It must have just been something that stuck early with the dogs and never went away for whatever reason. Even though, if you look at them, they definitely do look like cats.
I'm gonna say it. I think it was an American thing. I think.
What do you
I
mean?
think that
there's
like
American that called them legendary dogs.
Yeah, I think that
Americans love their dogs.
I think culturally, Americans are slightly more dog inclined than cat inclined.
100%.
So I think that it might have started here, even though, like we've said, in Japan, like it was beasts.
Yeah, I mean, I was confused as a kid when people called legendary dogs, and I didn't even like cats back then. Like, I was actually scared of cats, but I was just like, I was like, how are these dogs? I never understood it. And like, yeah, I don't know. Is what it is, but because if you ever call them legendary cats, I guarantee the dog could be like, "Oh, how dare you say that?"
Hold on.
Yeah, like, those are the legendary dog, or those are the legendary beasts at a very minimum, right? Dude, bro. You gotta get this together. All right. Anyway, we went on.
This has been a fun Kaz's Corner, everybody. Tune in next time.
Yeah. What Pokemon's like a leopard? I'm like, oh, I got you.
In my defense, I did look at the Pokedex for potential inspiration, like from this series of legendaries, but the entries are kind of like standard, like not super interesting.
Entei barks.
Yeah, like what sound does an Entei make?
Yeah. If you start out the Kaz Corner with when Entei barks, what happens? I would never have guessed volcanoes erupting. I'd be so stuck on the fact that Entei's barking that I'd be like, what's happening? I was like, I don't know. He's stuck in a cage with a dog, probably.
I can hear it in my head already. Like, whoa, hang on.
I was like, are you sure that's the official Dex entry or what? Yeah.
Yeah, we would have been arguing about that for a while.
Yeah, Tristan, what were you gonna say?
My question is, should we release Kaz from the shackles of the Pokemon Go Dex and let her use any Dex entries? Because I know some.
I don't think you want to do that, Tristan. Because there's too much.
Some of the games
there's too much
have
info.
More interesting ones.
Yeah. Let's wait till Kaz has exhausted her resources, and then we shall revisit that if it comes.
Listen, Tristan. I know you're ahead, right? You're feeling pretty good, but like you don't want to do that. That's way too much information.
Yeah, well, that's how he's going to stay ahead because no one's going to get any more right. Like, I got this on lock.
Yeah, what we don't know is that Tristan already has all the other Pokedexes memorized.
It's like, all right, for the rest of these Mario Kart races, we're only driving on Rainbow Road now that I have the lead. Like, I don't know about that. I like myself a challenge, but that might be too much. Okay, anyway, Kaz's Corner. What you got?
For real this time.
For real this time.
Okay, so this week's question is going to feature Jumpluff, a Pokemon that we've, been seeing a lot more in the Play Pokemon circuit lately. And my question to you
is right?
Jumpluff does not have wings. It is not a bird.
Yeah.
So, but it is migratory. So how does it actually arrive in a new location without wings?
Alrighty,
I've got an answer. Something for this one.
And not only how does it go, but like how does it land?
Oh,
they're both affected by the same force, but there are two different sort of elements at play.
Is this? Is it going to be a 2-part answer or a 1-part answer? Is I guess my.
It's a 2-part answer.
Okay.
There is
when
a
in
way.
doubt, Jumpluff has secret wing feathers.
Wait,
where are the feathers?
The second part is how does it land? How does it land?
Yes.
Or where does it land?
How?
How does it land?
So so my hint is that there is essentially one force at play, but two different elements that affect it. And not elements as in like...
Wait. There's one force at play, but two elements that affect it? That sounds like contradictory. What do you mean?
No. And that's why I was specifying not elements as in like, you know, earth, wind, fire sort of thing.
Okay.
But like two different ways that it is that same force is affected.
Okay.
The force...
This is arguably my toughest Kaz's Corner question, but
do we get partial points here if we get anything right?
Yeah,
I'll let you decide that. Okay, so there's one force.
I'm typically very loose in the past, like whoever gets closest.
Yeah.
We've done before.
So one force, two elements.
Basically.
Okay.
I'm so confused now.
But again, don't get hung up on the word like elements. That's just the word that I'm using.
I'm getting hung up on the one force too, but okay.
I feel like I have half of an answer. So.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if I know I didn't get this full thing for sure.
One force.
Jump.
And something changes in the force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
This one has a lot of science involved. I'm excited.
I think I know, but the way you word the element and force thing, I'm like...
I told you not to get hung up on the word element.
Yeah, but you can't be saying this stuff and then be like, don't get hung up on it. I'm like, I'm already hung on it. Like, I can't stop.
I can't give it away.
No, I get you, but I'm just, Anyway.
I'm not talking about periodic table elements, okay?
No, trust me. I wouldn't even just name like 5
There's no feathers. There's no palladium involved.
I don't remember what palladium even was. Was that that was one of the elements that we revisited last time?
Yeah, we were talking about it during the I think it was like an Indonesia special event at a specific hotel called the Palladium or whatever. So we were talking about the periodic table. Now I've wandered off topic.
That's okay.
Yeah.
These where are you
at, Tristan?
I'm ready to
go. Okay.
I think I have the general right idea, but I don't think I got it right though.
Yeah.
I have something.
This is the first thing I thought of the moment I saw it.
Okay, Tristan got something. I've got pieces.
All right.
I'm
sure.
I'm trying to think of the science. It's like, what's the look? I can send if we're ready to send, but I'll take any extra thinking time that other people are affording me.
Caleb is ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready to be wrong too.
Steve is essentially ready.
Yeah.
Where is Tristan at?
I'm ready, I guess. We can go.
All right.
Sounds down.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, send. Okay. So Caleb says the wind carries it and it lands near flowers for pollination purposes, like a dandelion, he adds enthusiastically at the end.
Just trying to throw some extra info in case, if you weren't connected dots, maybe that could be partial.
Josh says it gets carried by the wind. It lands when the wind conditions change atmospheric conditions. And then
Nice words.
You just threw random words in there. First talk about wind conditions. Oh, atmospheric conditions. This reminds me of when I had AP courses in high school. I don't know if they have it in Australia, but it's like college level courses you take in high school. And I remember our teacher saying that our biology teacher saying that they can't take points off for you if you write anything wrong. Only to get stuff right. I remember there's a flower section, and I didn't remember. I was like, is this the stomata or stigmata or whatever? So I wrote, or I forgot what it was. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's stomata. Stomata, whatever. Stomata and stogmata, whatever. I don't know. I just wrote both on every single answer. So I was like, look, I know it's one or the other on at least some of these. So I got to get at least like 2 questions right.
And hence the hedging his bets began.
Yeah. I did poorly on that test.
Finally, Tristan says force equals wind. It uses its pollen puffs to start and stop moving in the wind. And in a twist, Josh is actually the closest to being right.
Okay, closest.
No. You were all right in the sense that it is the wind that carries, right?
Yeah.
The warm wind picks it up and carries it over land, over sea to a new location. But it's actually cold wind that brings it back down. And that's why Josh is the one earning points.
Oh,
that makes sense.
You and your atmospheric conditions actually win.
Thanks, AP testing.
Yeah, that's the reason why I didn't do so well in that. Turns out it wasn't a stigmata at all. Anyway.
No, not even close.
No, that makes sense too, because I was thinking the wind, but I was like, how does the wind make it land? I was like, the wind's taking it off. But that makes sense because hot air rises and cold air
exactly.
Like
that's
goes
science.
Down, descends. So
that's also how, like, I know for a fact that that's how birds of prey use wind too. They rise higher on warmer winds. And then find cooler downdrafts to actually dive.
Man, if I'm a hawk, I'm like, dang, it's been hot for a while. I'm trying to eat. When's the cold draft coming? Like, I'm just sitting up here for like 10 hours.
Sometimes they do.
That's crazy. Yeah, trying to catch a good wind. But wow, okay, that's really clever. I feel like I'm learning a lot about just like animal biology and plant biology.
That's kind of why I wanted to do Kaz's Corner, because I really like this about Pokemon is how it interacts with like real world science and biology and everything.
Yeah. I didn't even know about that in the real world. It
baffles me how much they've actually thought about it in terms of like in my head, and what's always been in my head about Pokemon is like, they drew a cool dude and they were like, send it. But the fact that they've actually sort of like, and that is probably step one, right? They've just made a cool dude. But then they've like, once they've got the cool dude, then they're like, okay, what's the story here? And I like that they've actually put some real effort into it. It's cool.
Yeah. It's very fun.
Yeah.
No secret feathers this time, though.
Phew.
I know you were all worried that I was going to say there were feathers.
I wasn't really worried about that, to be fair. But I was like, there's no way this Jumpluff is not like just like a dandelion seed, in a way. So that's what I was trying to think. And it makes sense too, because it's like you have a plant that's Hoppip, then it goes and Jumpluff as a flower, and then it spawns a freaking seed.
Yeah.
It was just Jumpluff.
Yeah. It's literally the life cycle like of a dandelion, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because I saw it, I was just like, there's no way this thing's flying. So like,
interestingly, the middle evolution, the Skiploom, also has to do with temperature, where it says its flower only blooms once it's reached 64 degrees Fahrenheit. And it specifies 64 degrees Fahrenheit in the Pokedex. So it's talking about how people will use them as thermometers.
That's crazy. In the Pokemon world, they use the Imperial system too. That's wild.
I know, right? I was surprised. I was like, Fahrenheit.
No, I was surprised they're not doing a metric system.
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon goes out here using kilometers and kilograms or whatever. But
yeah. Okay, well, the score is pretty close. We got Josh at 7, me at 8, and Tristan leading the pack at 9. So it's anyone's game. But man, atmosphere changes.
Atmospheric conditions, baby.
Atmospheric conditions. Let me just throw some vague science words in there. It reminds me of that quote from like. It reminds me of that quote from the Avengers. It's like, do you guys just put quantum in front of everything?
Yeah. All right. Just not too much on Go Battle League. The one thing I'll say is, Tinkaton is kind of busted. Not gonna lie. I ran it in Spring Cup, and I just used Hatch IVs because I just didn't have time to trade with anyone, and it's pretty nutty. It's about as well. We talked about this last week. It's about as bulky as a Lapras or Superior, right? But its coverage is really nice, and I played it in both Spring Cup and in Open Great League. And in Open Great League, it's stupid busted. I haven't gone negative in a single set.
Really?
My team. Yeah.
Like,
you want to hear the secret? You want to hear the secret spice here?
All right.
Drop it for you all, for our loyal listeners. Tinkaton in the lead. Safe swap Shadow Save White, which really sucks when they come in their own Tinkaton because you just get walled off. Bulldoze would play rough, and I don't regret it at all. I think that's probably, in my opinion, the best moveset of choice because the Bulldoze just makes the poison matchup so much better. Like Drapion's like kind of like struggling, and the debuff gets proc super often too. And then to close it out, a Water Gun Lantern. Dude, my Water Gun Lantern being core breaking is crazy. Like, because no one's even prepared for it. They'll be like ABA weak to it. They'll have like a town playing in the lead with a Frauga in the back. Because like, who sees like Lantern, right? Obviously, mine's in the back, but when I see that, I'm like, huh. I was like, this thing has play. Sometimes the Lantern beats all three, or it has win counts against all three. Anyway, I don't know if like Lantern can be viable in Championship Series circuit because I know some people like to doubt it, aka a Deeb, but I'm telling you, that thing's actually a lot stronger than I give it credit for. And I mean, the thing they nerfed Spark a few times, or at least once, but you run a Water Gun obviously for Claydol. You could beat Claydol on like the zeros and ones, especially because none of them are really even running Sandseer Storm. And then the Surf is technically more NG efficient these days. It's less spammy, but it's better DPE, I believe, than the olds. Or sorry, Scorching Sands. Yeah. Oh, Tinkaton could tank one of those too, because I got hit by a couple months last, and they actually threw Scorching Sands. I was like, there's no way to have this. I still chilling. Like, again, mine are just hatch IVs. I think if you haven't hatched any yet, be sure to hatch some. I was telling one of my friends that doesn't really PvP much. I was like, yo, I was like, Henry, do you hatch any of these eggs? He's like, what? Like, what's in them? I was like, Tinkaton. I was like, oh, dude, why didn't you tell me? I was like, man, you're not listening to podcasts. What do you want me to say? We've been talking about this for a week.
And it now that the event that debuted it is officially over, it's only in 10Ks, correct?
Yeah, a lot harder to get.
Yeah. I managed to hatch, I think, a total of 6 between 3 egg batches, so
that's not bad.
That's not terrible.
Let me see how many I hatched.
You got how many?
And
I got 6 out of like 3 batches of 9 7K eggs.
I got 14. Yeah. Dang. So I got 1 on my first hatch, and I got none on my next 2 hatches. Then I started incubating sets of 9. I hatched 0 in the first set of 9. Then I got like 3 or something in the next set. And I think I had like 2 or 3 more in the next one. And I think I hatched 1 final set like last night. Or I like grabbed them before and they hatched this morning. But yeah, there's a lot less reliable to hatch from 10-kilometer eggs, and who knows when these will come to the wild. So I just try to get as many as possible so I can reroll with local mine, because he has at least like 12, I think. I've never met the guy, so if I disappear by next episode, dude, look out for the guy in my campfire messages. I was asking about Tinkaton, right? Niantic, you listen. You can help solve this murder case. Just kidding. I think he's fine. But I always meet in public locations during these things. Yeah, I usually sometimes I don't even come out of my car and stuff. But like I met someone at like their workplace once because they had a meeting, so I just like walked in his office and did a trade. That's actually got my Great League Giratina. Yeah, shout out Campfire. It's actually pretty good for trading with locals. All right, let's talk about the Championship Series circuit, because we have a couple tournaments that happened this past weekend. Monterrey Regional, largest to date. It was, but it was quickly beaten in session by Monterrey. I mean, Mexican and just like Latin American players in general have just like crazy high levels of engagement. So I'm not surprised by that at all. And honestly, they probably could have set even more records in the past if they didn't have like caps, because they've like hit. Like I know a lot of the Mexican tournaments have hit the caps like every single time too, which is crazy. But
was this one like capped, or is that just like it got to 275 registered players?
I think it was capped. Okay. Yeah, because I remember like hearing about like Rise talk and like maybe Doonebug talking about when they're trying to register, it was like a pain for them or like they had to register really quickly because it was hard to get into. Not a pain, but obviously they both got in. So yeah.
So biggest regional of all time. Where was the broadcast?
5 is crazy. there wasn't one for. I don't know. I mean, it's not. There's no official broadcast in Latin America outside of LAIC, right? So that's part of it, I'm sure. But 275, which I'm sure there's a decent amount of no shows, but still pretty good even for the no shows. And Doonebug 97 takes it all the way with a bracket reset. TC Spence also played fantastic. Made it all the two grand finals on the winner's side, but Doonebug was able to reset the bracket against him. It looked like Doonebug was really feeling him in a pretty hot stride at a certain point in that tournament too. We couldn't see it, so we don't really know what exactly happened. But Doonebug lost to Nighttime Clasher on day 2 in round 2, and then goes off and who did he face? Where is Doonebug in this bracket? Okay, so he faces Dequise 2-0, 2-0'd Eduardo Lomas, 2-0'd Paul Garcia, 2-0'd Javier C 2182, 3-0'd Nighttime Clash in the rematch, 3-1 TC Spence, and then 3-0 TC Spence. That's crazy.
Insane.
Dude was on fire in that losers bracket.
Yeah.
It is one of the biggest game win numbers I've ever seen. Like on the Dracoviz page, they've got match wins, game losses. He went 28-3 in game wins to game losses.
That's crazy.
Ridiculous. That's insane.
Crazy.
Absolutely insane. And then literally only between his first his first loss that sent him to the losers bracket and the finals, only dropping 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Pretty.
He went undefeated on day 1 as well too. On the winner's side, I mean, obviously because he only dropped 3 games, and we talked about those 3 games already. So, the team he ran was a Shadow Lone Sandslash, Shadow Jumpluff, Shadow Drapion, Gastrodon, Azumarill, and Malamar. Tristan, do you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I was gonna say this is so Dune though. I think everyone's been talking about oh, Dune's having sort of a slow season for his standards, not really performing as well as he probably would want to be, and then he just goes off and rattles off a crazy number of wins and wins the biggest regional ever. It's so Dune, and it just speaks to how even if he hasn't done quite as well as he had wanted to, he's just such a good player. And I think having done Atlanta the weekend before, I feel helped him because he was able to sort of get a sense of the meta and what he wanted to run and adjust his team accordingly. Because I do believe he made some tweaks from Atlanta to Monterrey. And I was also going to ask, do we know what fast move he ran on his Sandslash?
How to know.
Okay.
Oh, and it looks like after doing a bit of cursory scrolling, it looks like we do actually have footage from some of the finals.
Oh, awesome. Because they did so they had some of the games linked to a TV screen in the venue.
Yes. It is a little weird to watch because it is literally a camera view of that TV screen. So it's kind of wobbling a little bit. But yeah, it is the view from Doonebug's point of view, of the finals matchup with TZ Spanx.
Where do we find this?
I went to Doonebug's actual Twitter profile.
I smell another PPC video coming.
Yeah, he shared the
unreleased footage of the Monterrey.
The LAGR Gaming Twitter shared a post that says one Chopolis 21 on YouTube has the video.
Cool.
So yeah, you can actually see at least one set of battles.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, his team was fairly meta for the most part outside of the Gastrodon, but still really well played. The TC Spence team was kind of crazy. I mean, Alolan Sandslash, Shadow Jumpluff, Swalot, Unova Stomfist, which I tried running before Atlanta in local tournaments, and it felt good in some teams, but in other teams it just felt unplayable. And I can see how like it's harder to bring into Doonebug's team as well with Powder Stone, Lone Sandslash, Azumarill. The Gastrodon's super annoying. That matchup is super annoying. And Jump Off is not actually that bad for the Stunfisk, but
it's surprising that we're seeing Swalot again, because I feel like it kind of dropped off. Like it popped onto the map and then dropped off the map, just like with no explanation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's still good though, because it's one of the most reliable answers to Azumarill. But
and there are plenty of those.
Yeah, and TC Spence's team is a little bit weak to Claydol too. I'm surprised because running two things weak to Claydol, but still able to win against Nighttime Clash who had Claydol, and then just like I'm sure a lot of other people he faced. So pretty impressive stuff. And then of course for highest for placement ever in Championship Series history. But I still think it's not the best, but TC Spence is also a really good player, so he might have made it work pretty well. This is I was looking at Strakovic stuff. It doesn't have like some of the special events on there still, right? Because did he win or get second at a special event last year? He did really high. He always performs really well at these big tournaments in Latin America. Well, mostly because I don't see him at other tournaments, but he's put up some. I know he won a huge tournament, I think hosted by 7-Eleven, but it was like not an official tournament. But it was like it had like 200 plus people. But I could have sworn he also did really well at a special event in the past. That might not be on here. I don't know. He's been someone that's been around the scene for like since the very beginning, and he's always been really good at the game. So
whenever they have had broadcasts as well, he's someone that has also casted for the Latin American circuit. Yep. So
definitely talented. Tristan, did you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it looks like Dune used the same exact team he ran in Atlanta, except he's dropped Shadow Sableye in favor of Malamar. So he probably, I'm guessing he wanted that like superpower coverage for things like Alolan Sandslash and Cradily probably was what he was thinking there. But yeah, I guess like they do somewhat similar roles, and he probably just liked a little bit more of the matchups that Malamar gave him over the Sableye. So just sort of making that tinker based on like the meta he saw in Atlanta and how he felt like his team was doing. So yeah, just made that little adjustment and seemed like it worked quite well for him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, really solid performance. So a lot of big names we see on here as well. A lot of people seem like they went down for this too. I mean, in the top 32, Just Dirk was there as well, who's definitely been doing really well in top cuts as of late too in tournaments. Rise was there, obviously, like you mentioned earlier. Marcho's technically from Latin America, but not from Mexico. He was there as well. He got a top 32. Same thing with Richie as well. Some names that we see pretty often. Teddy GM, I haven't seen in a hot second. We also got a top 24. So really solid performances there as well. But yeah, big tournament. Curious to see how things adjust once team.
Emilio,
like I feel like Chile. The future meta is not going to look like this. Emilio for Chile, yeah, definitely a name that we see pretty often as well. I think that's definitely going to reshape the meta, in my opinion. So I don't think another tournament will look particularly like this one meta wise, but yeah, we'll see. Is there any Corviknight in this tournament? Oh, there's a Eomero had one. Oh, right, because this is the same team that Eomero came up with the team that what's his name, Ashton Ash ran in Atlanta. So that makes sense because I think it's like the same exact team.
I mean, Rise had a Corviknight.
Rise had one as well.
And
Rise
Eomero.
Rice and Eomero both in top 8.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we had a couple actually.
And then a few other people. Rocha, Ingbeto, Network. There's actually quite a few here.
Marto. Rob and Richie. Yeah. So a few scattered around, but not like the top usage that I think.
It looks like
I suspect.
I think I count 11 in the top 32.
Yep. It's 10 to a Djokovic page, so it checks out. It's 11.
Yeah.
Anyway, pretty cool tournament. Shame we don't have most of the footage because I'm sure there's some really, really good battles in there, but alas. But, well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was the Monterrey, and then we also have the South Korea playoffs. So let's take a look over there.
Yeah,
and see what people ran at that one. But we do have Sage and Park making it back to Worlds. This time on the Go side. I hope he competes at Go. That'd be really wild because I've never seen him play before. Charming Pori wins it. Charming Poem wins second. Awesome. I don't know if it's like LIL or ILL.
I think it's ILI.
ILI. Okay.
Yeah.
Is the L taller than the capitalized I? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Lowercase L. It is. Okay. HW. And then I'm just gonna call him Awesome. And then Mung Mi is Sage and Park. Who Charming Pori and Charming Poem? Those two are like they have some type of relation, right?
They're
like
school friends, I think.
They're school friends. Wow, that's pretty cool to make grand finals with your
it's awesome.
Like that. I really wish the Pori was not an O and a 0, or not 0 but O, but maybe that was already taken. I don't know.
Yeah,
would definitely make it look even cooler. But yeah, really solid performances. Top 4 make it to Worlds, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep, that's right.
Korea. And I know Charming Pori has been to Worlds before, right? Am I mistaken?
Are you thinking of Charming Chinda?
Yeah,
let me think of Charming Chinda.
Yeah.
But Charming Pori I've seen like a lot of, maybe just in Go Battle League and stuff. I don't know. I could have sworn I've seen Charming.
Name sounds
super Charming
familiar.
Pori went to EUIC this year.
Oh, yeah. That's
65th.
Yeah. I mean, Charming Pori, like they won the South Korea qualifiers as well, 7-0 sweep. They came into the playoffs and again swept all the way through, didn't drop a set. So kind of a crazy run through South Korea.
What happened to Charming Chinda?
I don't know.
Just doesn't play as much. He's Yadaruna's brother, right?
No, not actually brother and siblings. Yeah, Anacor just does not understand. Like it was mistranslated on Anacor's
end.
Yeah. Okay. He was selling all this like whole family dynamic thing, but they're just like friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Friends. More friends.
More friends. Tristan?
I was just gonna say it's interesting. Charming Pori won with Dugong, and I think everyone was writing off Dugong like, oh, Lapras, Sidewave Lapras coming in is just gonna totally push Dugong out of the meta. But there's been people here and there that have sort of been making it work recently, and obviously Charming Pori won the whole thing with it. I think it's interesting because I think a lot of people have sort of been taking advantage of Lapras's like lack of an ice fast move, and then you have something like a Dugong that matches up better. I mean, it still loses to Cradily, but it's a lot closer into Cradily than a Lapras is, and it's going to be better into the Guzzlord and the Mandibuzz and some things like that. So I think sort of people have started building their teams to be good into Lapras, but some of the things that are like decent or neutral or even positive into Lapras aren't nearly as good into the Dugong. Like even Claydol, for example, because Claydol resists the Psywaves, has a much closer Lapras matchup, whereas I think Claydol has a harder time with Dugong because of those super effective ice shards. So kind of an interesting meta read after everyone wrote off Dugong. But I think it does have, or it did have a place in this iteration of the meta. I'm not sure how it will or won't do in a Tingaton version of the meta, but it's something to keep an eye out for because, again, it has more play into some of those things that are better into Lapras, but aren't as good into the Ice Fast move.
I mean, Lapras is just not as... It hasn't shown its prowess like we were expecting it to at the start of the season, to be fair. Like, it's pretty hard falling off. It's there's not that many Lapras running around in the grand scheme of things. Like, usage is kind of created. Only because it's directly in front of my face. In the Indonesia qualifier, like, it's at 12.5% usage. Like, it's really dropped down.
I thought I saw a decent amount at Atlanta, but yeah,
it was on the usage graphic, but it wasn't high.
Steve,
as high as
but
it's expected to be dominant, right?
Steve,
no.
The Indonesia is top cut usage, to be fair, but 12.5 is still pretty low.
Yeah, that's true, but yeah, it's pretty low. But It is kind of love everywhere. But yeah, I also did try and get in contact with Sejun Park to see his footage, but the man's deleted it. he's just like, I don't need this anymore.
Oh.
So
do you have confirmation that he's going to attend for Go this year?
Well, based on his Twitter, it sounded like he is planning to compete in Go to like properly finish the quartet. Like he wanted to say that he competed in every game at Worlds because he competed at Worlds in the other 3, and technically he was actually like I was sort of joking on the side, like, oh, shame he missed Pokken. But he actually competed in like a Pokken Invitational at the World Championships in like 2019. So it was like, oh,
yeah, I saw that too. Actually, he heard your doubts, so he was like,
apparently, so pretty cool. Definitely the Pokemon GOAT.
Definitely, yeah, very
and
iconic
out to prove it, yeah.
But that does it for our Korean qualifiers. We do have Indonesia, Korean playoffs. We do have the Indonesia qualifiers as well that took place, and like the other APAC qualifiers and stuff. There's going to be a qualifier round, and then there's going to be a finals or playoffs round. So top 16 all make it into the playoffs, which is on this graphic right here. Cirque Panic a lot. It's probably one of the biggest names there, who obviously went to Worlds last year as well, and has been around the scene since like definitely in the Silph days, but has been around since the very beginning. A lot of these other names I don't fully recognize. Mini Coke I feel like I recognize, but I'm not sure. But first place, Rifki Aditya. That actually doesn't sound like an Indonesian name at all, actually. But is Azumarill, what do you call it? Diggersby, Corviknight, Shadow, Drapion, Credilli, and non-Shadow Sableye. Top 3 all had a Shadow Drapion, Credilli, Sableye core to some way, shape, or form, which is interesting. Oh, they all had Azumarill, so the top 3 all had the same 4 Pokemon.
And then they all have a ground type, and then the 6th slot is a little different, but
yeah, Corviknight versus Lapras versus Talonflame.
I know based on watching your video, Josh, that Rifki's Sableye, not only was it non-Shadow, but it was also running Power Gem instead of the newer Dazzling Gleam. Was that like popular? Do you think the more popular choice to run Power Gem here?
They still seem pretty split. And like we saw this through Atlanta as well, in that there's so many different opinions on whether Power Gem or Dazzling Gleam is the way to go. And obviously they've got like slightly different coverage profiles. I personally, I don't really know which one's better. It sort of feels like in a lot of ways, everything that you want Dazzling Gleam for, either there's not that many of them in terms of like, I know that Power Gem Sableye was really hurting when it was like up against Ashton Ash's Guzzlord at Atlanta. Or out of pocket lands of that Dazzling Gleam on Malamar. But it sort of feels like Foul Play does most of the job, and at least going forward when we're heading into Tinkaton meta, maybe Dazzling Gleam isn't as necessary, and you might want more Power Gems. But I don't know.
I think just for the mirror alone, it's pretty important though, because in the mirror, if you come into Sableye with energy, you could tank one Foul Play. You can't tank a Dazzling Gleam, and that's definitely turned the tides of a lot of battles I've played, at least in Go Battle League and stuff. But I think there's merit to both for sure.
I think Professor Tristan has opinions.
Yeah, break it down for us.
I think, Tinkaton meta, Tinkaton resists all its charged moves, so I think Sableye is going to be dropping off to some extent as a result of Tinkaton. But I think Dazzling Gleam is like your safer move because, before Tinkaton at least, like between Foul Play and Dazzling Gleam, you could hit almost everything for neutral, with like the main exception being like a Galarian Weezing. So that was sort of the safer, broader coverage move combination. Because again, it did give you a lot more neutral coverage, and it gave you some valuable, super effective coverage into specific things like the Pangoro and the Guzzlord. But those targets were a little more niche. So I think it really came down to like your team comp and like what you were wanting to cover against. Like I personally ran Power Gem, and I felt like because I had a lot of sort of fairy coverage in my team to deal with those Pangoros and Guzzlords, I was less worried about those. And so the power gem was nice as better coverage into Jumpluff, and like a better, nuke option into like a Lapras or a Dugong, for example. And it does, I think after the second one comes out one faster as well. And so the power gem did well for me, but I think they're both very viable depending on how you want to use your Sableye and like what you want better play into. And like again, personally with my team,
I think
I was more worried about a Jumpluff, so that's why coverage into Jumpluff would have been nice with power gem, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's got merit in both fronts. I think the same thing with Alone Sand Slasher, Powder Stone, Shadow Claw, right? Like there's reasons to run both, which personally I think is really good for the meta to have like different viable movesets, even like ones that like makes you lose a mirror, but yeah, better play into other things, right? So I think it's good. I think that's a good spot for Pokemon to be in this current state of the game. But yeah, so this is the highest Corviknight placement I've ever seen, right?
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
technically
It's the first
tournament.
time it's won anything.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah. I mean, it's not technically like official like end result tournament, but
no.
It's still very good though. 7-0.
Yeah. I mean, look, when they hit up the playoffs
And
and
also
it's going to be
the
Tinkerton
Diggersby
meta,
is
I think
interesting.
Corviknight has an even better.
The Diggersby is honestly, I don't see what it really is there for outside of Sableye, maybe. But there was a lot of Sableye, especially in that top 3. But after that, too, you have 5th, 6th, 8th all had it. Oh, I don't know if that's a specific placement, but 6 out of the top 8 had Sableye.
Well, unless you win the Clodsire matchup, and like it won in South Korea.
Well, yeah, but like I'm just saying, like any other ground type probably would be Clodsire there too, right? It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like, what's the benefit over something else? But because I don't think it beats Claydol, right? If Claydol like throws Ice Beam,
honestly, I mean no,
debuffs?
but honestly, I think Diggersby is better for Corviknight than other ground types.
Oh yeah, I could see that. But there is no other Corviknight in the top 8.
Listen, they made a calculated risk, and boy, are they bad at math.
To be fair, like Rifki, at some point they did face like an identical team in their sort of run through the through the qualifiers.
I watched that part of your video, and they had the same brain cells.
Yeah,
wild.
So I guess he had it for something.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's even more impressive that they're able to win it all with the Diggersby because I feel like it's much harder to play. But yeah. But anyway, that does it for that qualifier. So best of luck to those competing in the playoffs. We'll see how many come out of that one for Worlds.
It's only 2 go to Worlds, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I mean that's not super surprising. I guess I think it's consistent past years.
I think for every other Asian tournament, it's 2. So it was like 4 for India, 4 for South Korea, and then it's 2 for the rest.
So tough compared to the rest of the world. Like they got one shot at this, right? And that's it. Whereas for us, like if you grind enough tournaments, and you're like put in the work, you could feasibly qualify for Worlds. Even if you don't win a whole tournament. Whereas they have to get like top 2. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I really feel bad for people like Getaruna, who comes in places top 6 at a regional in Australia, and then places top 8 in the qualifier, and then in the qualifier, and then does a little bit worse in the playoffs, and because of that, she's out. Like she can't.
Yeah.
Unless she attends another regional and wins, she's done.
I mean, to be fair, a top 8 placement even in the playoffs wouldn't be enough, right? But
yeah. But like in the as far as like us in our other regions, if you're like racking up top 8 performances and getting championship points, you're in a good spot. But
yeah, did she go to any other tournaments besides that one Australia tournament outside of her own region?
I think she might have gone to EUIC, but I don't think she did too well at EUIC.
I think you're right. That
does
ring a bell. Yeah, it's tough, right? Because there's you have to do really well at these tournaments to actually have a chance. Yeah, so EUIC, and then Brisbane 5th. Yeah. But UIC 49th. 49th is not bad at UIC, honestly. But
actually, that's better than I remembered. But
yeah, faced a lot of big names too. Lost to Sharky King in the first round, and then Poke Magester, 8-Bit, Kellio, then Jox 2-0 and Andris, and then lost to 23 EJB. Yeah. Those last three in particular are tough opponents. But she was running a Corviknight back then too. What the heck? But okay, anyway, we're getting sidetracked a bit. Yeah, it's tough. That's all I'm saying. The qualification stuff. Tristan, do you have something to say, or is that from before?
I was gonna say it's tough too because they sort of have to be locked in on like 2 different events too. Like you have to make a good team read and perform well enough in the qualifier to even make it to the finals, and then you have to get top 2 or top 4 in the playoffs. So like it's it's definitely pretty tricky because they have to make good reads and play well and do well on 2 different days, 2 different tournaments as well.
Yeah.
And like obviously everyone's going to be
playing a
adjusting.
tournament.
Obviously it's a little different now if you have Tinkaton coming between the 2, but like if both 2 were in like basically the same meta, then everyone's going to be adjusting to what they saw in the qualifier as well, and they're going to be looking at what the top teams were and potentially adjusting for that. So then you have to decide, are you adjusting for the adjustment, or are you sticking? Like there's a lot that goes into that, so it's definitely not easy for them.
Yeah, you can't run like one spice team and assume that it could carry you in the second round if it's got some core breakers there. But okay, let's talk about NAIC a bit. What's the total registrations for that?
NAIC?
NAIC, yeah, because they went live yesterday. We're recording this on Thursday, so wave 1, right? Was both waves already went out, or is it just wave 1?
Wave 2 is this morning.
I think both are.
Wave 2 is this morning.
Yeah,
we're at 275 registered.
275.
So
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. To a 275.
Yeah.
Okay. And wave 2 is. Wave 2's right now.
Wave 2 is this morning.
It's already gone out.
Wave 2
it's going out this morning.
Like,
so it definitely hasn't sold out then at 275. It's only 275?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it would sell out, but I guess there's more time to sign up for them. Well, sign up ASAP if you're thinking about doing it. But NAIC just doesn't sell out like UIC or does, unfortunately. Yeah.
So interesting in that, like, one topic of a convo that comes up a lot is the fact that North American regionals seem to be growing, whereas European regionals seem to be shrinking. But EUIC caps, like it, sells right out. So I don't, not sure where the
I think there's a few reasons for that, in my opinion. One, I feel like traveling in Europe is much easier or a little bit cheaper from European country to European countries. The second part is also like the people aren't really locked for their qualifications by then, So I think a lot of people are trying to get as many early points as possible. By the time NAIC rolls around, we pretty much, at least at the top of the top, they'll already know if they qualify for Worlds. How many of them are actually going to go just to try to fight for that travel award? I don't know, because if you don't get it, then you just like wasted extra money, right?
I think you're looking at a very small group of players, though. Like that's a very small population that is actually looking at that sort of stat. Whereas, like EUIC is like capping right out with the difference between 275 and like 400 or whatever. It's not 125 like really strong top of the line like looking for championship point battlers necessarily. It's like I get you, but I think that my guess is the mentality is, hey, if I do a good run at EUIC, I have a shot at maybe Worlds, right? I could go to 1 or 2 other tournaments afterward, try go to some locals. But if they're already not even in like striking range, really, I mean, obviously if they win NSC or get top 4, they still qualify. It's like a long shot, right? It's a much longer shot than like a safety shot at EUIC, in my opinion. I do think the ease of travel is a lot to do with it too, because we've seen the numbers, right, from NA, and it's not like we have the numbers, right? Like before, EU used to have like probably more average attendance, but these days, like NA attendance is pretty strong too.
at some of these regionals. Obviously, Portland's like barely anyone, but some of these tournaments, a lot of these simmers have 100 plus, right? Hit the 128 kicker plus or stuff like that. So we have the enthusiasm in the players. So why are they not coming out to NAIC? Well, anyway, my guess is the cost of travel is probably not that cheap in general for a lot of people flying into it. Also, I mean, not to get too political here, but I can see why people outside of the U.S. might not want to travel into the U.S. right now because they don't know what's going to happen.
Totally get it.
Yeah, you know. So, look, people make their own decisions, right? Like, I'm not like saying whatever from a political side, but that's my guess is those from outside of the region can definitely be.
I will say on that, you know, as the only person here outside of the US, like, you know, I'll tell people with somewhat regularity, like, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to the US for this thing or whatever, like, you know, for Worlds or when I went, last time for Worlds, I guess. And every time I met with like, really? Like, you want to go
sure?
now?
Like, are you absolutely sure?
I would. Yeah, got family in California though, so if you get stuck here, you can just head on down to them, you know, or head on up to them and hang out with them for a little bit. But yeah, Tristan.
I think too, like, I wouldn't say that NAIC isn't going to sell out because the thing I've noticed is NA tournaments tend to fill up slower. Like, we hit cap in Atlanta, but we didn't hit the cap until I think it was like maybe the day before, 2 days before. And I think NAIC capped last year, right? I don't remember for sure, but I feel like it might have. So, like, just because it's quote unquote only at 275 right now, like, I feel like 275 is actually pretty good right now, and I think that number is going to keep trickling up over time because for whatever reason, I've noticed in NA just like the events, like, people don't sign up right away. There's a lot more of like a slow trickle over time. Like the same thing happened in Vancouver, where Vancouver was at, like, I don't remember what it was, like 60 something, like maybe a week or two before, and then it shot up to cap. Like Atlanta, I think at registration, Atlanta was only at like maybe 40 or 50 or something, 60 at most, like within like the first week of registration, and it ended up capping as well. So, like, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, people in NA just don't sign up immediately as much. So, like, I don't know where the number's going to end up, but I think it's going to just keep slowly ticking up between now and NAIC. And obviously we don't know what the cap is, and will or won't we hit the cap, I don't know, but I don't think it's like super reasonable to judge based on where we're at right now. I think 275 is actually a pretty solid number for NA in the first like less than 24 hours. And we'll just have to see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with also the NAIC capping is it doesn't feel like an EUIC cap. Like EUIC, when it caps, it's like, you know, they're like almost all like players, like actual Pokemon Go players. Whereas like NA tournaments and NAIC capping, I'm just like, a lot of these people end up being like spectator passes and stuff that, you know, spectator tickets are out, so they're going to just buy some Go tickets and stuff. And you can see it in the brackets, right? Based on Challenge, how many no-shows there are. Like I remember my friend Shiny Hunter Ben, like one year, it was like 2023, he didn't go to NAIC. There were so many no-shows. He went like 4-2 or something in the tournament. He's like, dude, I've done better at this tournament from not attending than some of the tournaments I've like practiced and actually went for. But it's because he was a no-show, but his opponents were no-shows, and he just kept winning the coin flip, I guess, on the no-shows, right? Which is just wild. And this is before seeding was a thing too. But yeah. I think last year there were some no-shows, but it wasn't. They were able to organize the brackets so that kind of stuff didn't happen, like 2023, which was nice. But I don't know. I think I don't think it'll have the same amount of participation and excitement as EUIC, but I think it'll still be one of the biggest tournaments, right? That we ever had. That's why I say only 275, right? I kind of wish it was more because I know we have the player base to fill it up, but I understand if people don't want to spend all this money to go, especially if they're already planning on going to Worlds and have their invite locked in, or they're like, I'm probably not going to qualify off of this anyway. I'm not going to, pay all this money just to try for one final tournament. So I think the amount of people that are doing that are a little bit slimmer, especially because now it's like top 75 or top whatever. So it's not like, oh, I just need to get like 2 and 2 and I'm qualified, right? Like you don't know how well you need to do, right, to do it. You could like estimate, but you have no idea exactly. So it is it's definitely a grind. So the grind ain't cheap sometimes. The grind is not cheap. Anyway, let's head over to YouTube comments because I know we've been going on for quite a while here. And let's see what we have from last episode. I do remember a few comments here or there. Sorry, my Chrome is taking forever to load. All right. So for our last episode, we have if a Smash settings needs to be a LAN setting built into the game. No having to jump connections to a server and back. It would be over local network phone to phone. Not a crazy fit at all. So many games have this already. I mean, yeah, I agree. You know, I think like there's other successful mobile esports out there. You know, Clash of Clans have had esports for the longest time. I haven't really been tracking it to see if they lag or not, but I didn't really have issues with that game when I played it back by myself too, right? And I don't actually foresee too much on the esports side. I think it's also the way the game is built, right? Clash of Clans is like it's not PvE, but when you battle someone, like you enter their base and you try to drop your troops, the person that's defending doesn't do anything. You just watch, right? You can you the only defense you can do is the way you organize your base ahead of time, and then you take a turn to attack. So like a half-second spike in lag is like really not that consequential in most situations. But like for Pokemon Go, like every half second is one turn, and the amount of games you could lose based off just losing one turn or 2 turns is astronomical, especially on the higher end. So it just yeah, it makes for a bad time. I don't know. Anyway, that's definitely from a competitive side of things. That's like a huge frustrating point, right? That we all know. And until Niantic does something, we get through all the suggestions out we want.
And we will.
Yeah. Anyway, Artemis Dragon says, dude, I've been wondering when they would bring Scale Shot to the game. I personally like to see it be a low damage, good energy 2-turn fast move for Sceptile, which would be too strong maybe, like Seadra with bait moves. Dragalge, Tyrant, Tyrantrum, but Haxorus could be legit too. And yeah, and Haxorus has kind of lost some relevance in Master League, so I think that could be interesting. And can we bring back nerf moves like Psychic with a different skin? They took away counter, but they gave us Sucker Punch in return, which seems future-proof because nothing broken has it. All I'm saying is that Surfetch and Haxorus didn't deserve the hit and should rerun to glory. Also, I have no sympathy for Vigoroth, but I'll allow it getting Shadow Claw.
return.
Shadow Claw Vigoroth is weird too because those mirror matches are going to be, huh? Say again.
I think it means return to glory.
Oh yeah.
Oh, return to glory. Oh yeah. What did I say? Rerun?
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Rerun?
Yeah, return.
Because that's what he wrote, but it was just
yeah. And then yeah, all good. And then AJPZ says howdy to you as well.
Howdy.
Anyway, I think that's going to do it for this episode. We do have a special 200th episode next week, so stay tuned for that because that should be a fun one. But yeah, 200 episodes, wild. Like I said from the beginning.
Can you believe it, guys? 42 episodes. I mean, that's just...
We made it. We made it to the answer, the everything,
when
the
we're
universe
on,
and everything.
Well, what episode would it have to be for you for it to be 200 for you? Oh, no.
What, the 200, an extra, well, at 160-ish to this, so 360-ish is where we're heading.
Like 360 something. That'd be wild.
See you in a couple of years.
We'll literally celebrate the next 100 before we get to that one.
True.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Hey, see you in a couple of years. I'll try to see you all like later this year is the goal.
Oh yeah. If you think
we're gonna start making predictions on who's gonna be the first person to drop.
Caleb's gonna start betting everyone else like when each person is gonna drop.
This is why I got 4 this time. I was like, if we lose someone, I don't have to scramble for something for a hot second, you know. But anyway, that's gonna do it for us.
For all you know, we made a solidarity pact and we're all gonna quit together.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, and then loop back around and bring Anacore back on. Hey, we have Anacore as a guest on. Oh, now he's back to being the full host.
Bruv.
Dude, that clown's gonna be running for Bastion Core, and I can't wait. In a Tinkaton meta, that's nuts. That's actually nuts. Bastion has some play into it.
R.I.P.
I will say the fur damage does kind of add up because I played into a few with the Tinkaton. It's actually a little bit annoying because you can't really throw anything super effective at it either, right? So, but the resistance damage is actually kind of tedious. So, anyway, that's gonna do it for us. Hope you all have a good one, and we'll catch you all next episode. Peace.